Cheers and salutations. Here's hoping that YouTube is notifying all of you lovely, beautiful people when we go live, especially in the evening, because as always, the news is always happening and the news is always new. And who is to be surprised by the recent developments that are taking place in California? As we all know, Los Angeles County has been devastated by the raging and ongoing wildfires. But it's not only just what's happening in LA County, it's also happening to other cities within the great state of California, such as a wildfire happening close to San Diego. It seems to me and everyone else that is watching that the leadership of California, from the governor all the way on down, failed the people of that state. Now, we've done not one, but two different segments here at Hard Lens Media. Number one, covering for the concept of really what the firefighters have to deal with, such as ongoing mold inside the fire departments. And we'll be playing that video again in case you guys forgot it or missed out on it, because YouTube doesn't seem to be notifying people when we go live or upload our content. But that's fine. That's why I always tell people to double check and triple check you're still subscribed. But let's talk about the breaking news, because as it stands right now, Los Angeles mayor, and dare I say it, former mayor at this point, was how she has failed the people in her city, had a back and forth argument with none other than Donald Trump. So without further ado, since all of you are here, here it is in all its glory. Trump versus Mayor Karen Bass.
We're bringing our city departments together so that people don't get caught in the loop of going from one room to the next. We want them all to be in the same room so that you can get busy rebuilding ASAP. Absolutely. Yes. Yes. And we will clear the lots. Absolutely. In the city and in the county. We are working together. Both levels of government are working in unity.
Months? Is it like we that's the answer that we got, and that's what we're all hanging on?
Yes.
So if you're telling us now faster, is it 6 months? Is it, I mean, all of our lives, rents, all this stuff is weighing on this.
6 months is no good.
And the number one thing that we are going to do immediately, and you will see this happen, is to clear out the debris. And we're concerned right now over the weekend because of the potential rain, but we are going to move as fast as we can, but we want you to be safe, and we want you to be back in your homes immediately.
But the people are willing to clean out their own debris. It doesn't
Yes,
cost
and
a
they
lot.
can.
You
and
should
they are
let them
able
do
to-
it, because
No,
by the
they
time you
can do
hire
that.
contractors, it's
Right.
going to be 2 years.
If a family...
People are willing to get a dumpster and do it themselves and clean it out.
And they can
There's
do
not that much left. It's all incinerated.
That's right.
And, it's just going to take a long time if you do. You can do some of it, but a lot of these people, I know that guy right there that's talking. I know my people. You'll be on that thing tonight, throwing the stuff away, and your site it'll look perfect within 24 hours. And that's what he wants to do. He doesn't want to wait around for 7 months till the city hires some demolition contract that's going to charge him $25,000 to do his lot.
Yeah.
I think you have emergency powers just like I do, and I'm exercising my emergency powers. You have to exercise them also.
I did exercise them.
Because I look.
Is she really saying she exercised her powers? Because a few weeks ago, I remember Hardlands Media and everybody else in independent media, hell, everyone on social media, sharing videos of an oh-so-quiet Karen Bass as she was confronted by the press as she was coming back from a vacation from overseas, while Biden was still president before the transfer of power took place on January 20th. She was quiet, said nothing. This is the same Mayor Karen Bass who, under her watch, I guess for those firefighters, and I'm going to be playing that video again, in which the firefighters have to barter for their own goods, and there's a code of silence because they can't speak out, otherwise they'll be punished severely for even speaking out, especially in regards for their living conditions.
I mean, you have a very powerful emergency power, and you
Yes.
can do everything within 24 hours.
Yes. And if individuals want to clear out their property, they can. Well, yes, but you know that you will be able to go back soon.
Mr. President.
We think within a week.
That's a long time, a week. I'll be honest. To me, everyone's standing in front of their house. They want to go to work, and they're not allowed to do it.
And the most important
week
thing
is
is
a
for
long
people to
time.
be safe.
They're safe. They're safe. You know what? They're not safe. They're not safe now. They're going to be much safer. A week is actually a long time, the way I look at it. I watched hundreds of people standing in front of their lots, and they're not allowed to go in. It's all burned. It's gone. It's done. Nothing's going to happen to it. It's not going to burn anymore. There's nothing to burn. There's almost nothing to burn. And they want to go in. The people are all over the place. They're standing, and I say, why aren't you going in? We're trying to get a permit, and the permit's going to take them. Everybody said 18 months. You said 18 months. You said 18 months.
That was last night.
And that was last night.
On that.
We can't even see our homes right now. We are blocked from entering our streets.
Right.
We can't even, this is our first time we saw our house was yesterday.
So it turns out, as the fight is still continuous, because there was a huge sparring match between Trump and Karen Bass. But I want to at least explain what's happening on the ground here, because there's an article here that also talks about it, because I'm also going to bring up the mold story again, because the mold, as well as the other dangerous living conditions which LA firefighters have to live through, explains overall why firefighters have been unable to really sustain these fires and stop them. It's because they're given nothing except shoestring, tape, and maybe some cardboard, and that's it. They can't really put out the fires because they're given nothing. President Donald Trump visited California on Friday to view the devastation from the wildfires that have ripped through the Los Angeles area and continue to wreak havoc. Democrat Governor Gavin Newsom himself greeted Trump on the tarmac when Air Force One landed in Los Angeles. They diametrically opposed politicians have sparred frequently, but they struck a more cordial tone during the brief remarks to reporters at the airport. Trump said that he appreciated Newsom meeting him, adding that we want to get the problem fixed. The president compared the devastation to fire-ravaged areas of Southern California as looking like the city got hit by a bomb. Well, gee, after everything we've witnessed for the past 15 months in a certain area called Gaza, yeah, LA looks like it's been hit by a bomb. Most of California has been hit by these devastating wildfires, but LA, a major metropolitan city, is dying before us. Newsom thanked Trump for visiting states, saying, we're going to need your support. You were there for us during COVID. I don't forget that. Whoa, wow, you wouldn't have said that during the Biden era. And I have all the expectations that we'll be able to work together to get the speedy recovery. During a roundtable with lawmakers and officials after touring the fire-ravaged neighborhoods, Trump referred to the wildfires as infernals of death and destruction. He said he would declare a national emergency to speed up the response to wildfires and again urged changes to the state's water policies. The president also targeted the Biden administration's wildfire response and reminded people that he is only a few days into his term. I'll do a great job. But we had another president, and this took place during the life of another president, not me, Trump said. But I'm going to be the president that's going to help you fix it because he would not have been able to help you fix it. Well, of course, because Joe Biden offered everyone a one-time $700 some odd dollar payment plan. Ask the people of Lahaina how that's going for them. Former President Joe Biden had approved the major disaster declaration for California, an executive action that increased funds and resources available for people in hard-hit areas. Trump on Friday briefly argued with Los Angeles Mayor Karen Bass, a Democrat, on the timeline for letting people in certain areas work on clearing the damage from their properties. I can understand maybe why certain areas have been blocked off because of, one, dangerous chemicals, smoke, and, of course, other unsafe conditions that could be very hazardous for people. But at this point, who am I to tell people what to do when they've lost everything? So many people's homes have been destroyed, lifetimes of memories gone. It is understandable why people want to get something done and want to go back to their areas to see what they could salvage, because California and its leadership are toxic. The governor of California, Governor Gavin Newsom, and right now the number one target, Karen Bass, have proven that they have failed the people of that state, of that region. So many people are wondering why things are the way they are. And before I continue on with this article, I want to pull up this video here from the Free Press. If you saw this already, watch it again. These firefighters are working with nothing, and it's the leadership that's responsible.
LA fire stations are falling apart, and there are some that are even dangerous. Over the past few days, I've probably been to 20 firehouses, and what I've seen has been absolutely infuriating. It is impossible to get anything fixed. Most of the firemen I've talked to this week do the repairs at the stations themselves with their own money. I am not exaggerating this. The very first firehouse I pulled up to, there were firemen in the back filling in a pothole with sand. If LAFD...
Now, they shouldn't be doing that. My question is, why are they doing that? LA, you got any money? Because chances are, I know we're going to hear the answer, and the answer is no. And I want to pull up something else here that caught my attention too from Matt. I can't count how many times I've heard California is the 5th largest economy in the world, and this is what they have to show for it. Maybe some humility is in order. Matt, at this point, I don't know if California can ever boast that title of being the 5th largest economy in the world, because people are leaving it in mass. Businesses are leaving it in mass. California, the once great golden dream, is now becoming an everlasting burnt nightmare.
finds out you've made any of your own repairs, you're punished. I have talked to firemen that have to barter supplies with other stations to get the supplies that they need. At the next station, when I asked the fireman if I can come in and document the damage, he said, just take pictures of the outside of the building and you'll know what the inside is like. This fire station, its garage door has been broken for a year. They've begged and begged LAFD to fix it, who was punishing them for not having quick enough response times. And it got repaired this week only because the local community stepped in and fundraised money. There's stuff like this citywide, and LAFD is terrified you'll find out because they know you'll be pissed. The mold infestation at Los Angeles Fire Station 112 was so bad, it sent its fire chief to the hospital. He was on life support for 3 weeks. His leg turned black and they had to amputate his thumb. Mold is a huge problem. It isn't.
Now listen, when you have to have your thumb amputated and your leg turns black and you're on a respirator, I don't know, controversial statement here, but maybe that's a sign for the city government, council leaders, the mayor, everybody to maybe say, hey, whoa, if it's happening at this one fire station, what about all the others? Because these guys and gals, these brave people put their lives on the line to put out these dangerous, wild infernos that seem to be getting worse and worse with every passing year. You would think that in a responsible society, they would do that. But no, they tell them to shut up and enjoy their crumbs.
Just one fire department. It's like 15 and very well documented. Going back to station 112, after complaints and complaints, I talked with a guy who self-financed his own mold test. When the inspector came, he told him it was the worst case of mold he'd seen in his life. Another fireman here refused to go into the kitchen because every time he did, his face would break out in hives. The firemen here were sleeping on the fireboat until their higher up told them they had to stop doing that because it looked bad. Why is this like this? There's multiple reasons, but the biggest is the union. An active fireman told me there's a lack of funding, goes nowhere bureaucracy, inaccessible chain of command, and mismanagement. So look, I'm not intimate with this union's policies, but if it's any indication, they might have the one flagpole I have seen in the city that's not flying at half-mast. Seems like they have a lot of respect. A fireman told me every fireman in the city are terrified to talk to you. This is actually the reason why firemen can't talk to media. As a fireman told me, it's their way of damage control. And anyone knows if they talk to media, they'll be fired.
After this fire, once it's done, once it's settled, once the nightmare is over, I'm very hesitant to tell people what to do because who am I to tell people what to do? But I can offer at least my 2 cents. And I think pretty much everyone else would universally agree. To the firefighters, both those are in active duty, as well as the prison firefighters, as well as all the citizens of LA County. You need to confront Mayor Karen Bass, Governor Gavin Newsom, and all your elected officials for what they have allowed to happen. Okay? Reservoirs empty. Infrastructure not working properly. And of course, firefighters living in god-awful conditions. When you got to live on a boat that's not even designed for human habitation, that's purposely designed for, active duty, for battling wildfires, being a boat, it is what it is. And that's where the firefighters are choosing to live on because in the building, it's too bad, or either that. If one guy goes into the kitchen, he breaks out in hives. How bad is that building? Why would you condemn men and women who go on the front line to live in such horrible living conditions? Now, it shouldn't be a golden palace, but my God, basic decency, common sense. But at this point, all those firefighters, for what they've been going through for perhaps God knows how long, deserve a golden palace at this point, where they have to barter for their gear and equipment. This is what they're going through. They have to speak out. LA is on life support. Never before have we ever witnessed the death of a city this fast in real time, and the insurance companies are not going to cover it. This is going to be billions upon billions of dollars worth of recovery, of repair. And who's to say this won't happen again next year and the year after that?
I've had a gut-wrenching week talking to people who have lost their houses every single day, and this is the first story where I've had someone in tears in front of me. I need to thank Watchdog LA for pointing me in the direction of these stories. Over the next few weeks, you're going to see people behind podiums downtown being like, these are our city's heroes. And I just want you to know, the moment they step away from that podium, they're okay with their heroes being treated like dogs.
And it's madness. I also want to pull up another video here as well, because this is Trump also calling out the Democrats, especially in regards towards what happened with the insurance companies. Now, I'm not a fan of these big insurance companies and what they've done, and a lot of people are going to be left out there on their own. So many people are going to be bankrupt and struggling day in, day out. And I really feel sorry for a lot of people because they are going to be on their own.
A big percentage, I would assume, Brad, like that. What are they going to do? Go ahead.
Mr. President, without your help, they're only going to get $43,000 from the federal government, even if they have a half
Well,
million dollar.
you did something,
loss.
Brad, where every insurance company in the country left California. That's why you have no insurance, because you made it so impossible. People that think like you made it so impossible. And
Brad, me,
every
Mr.
insurance
President,
company.
I don't know what
I'll tell you this
about my thinking.
I've never seen a state where almost nobody has insurance. And I said, what happened? And they said like 6 months ago, they all left. And 2 years ago, they had different, quadrants, but they left. And you have very little insurance here. I mean, I've never seen anything like it.
We had a lot of insurance companies pull out, but I have no
And
idea.
the insurance companies actually have been warning you. Now, I'm not a big fan of insurance companies. Okay, they have their big drawbacks too. But the insurance company, I read the papers very well. And, they've been warning California for a long time. They've also been saying, we want water. You don't have water. You're supposed to get fire insurance. And the insurance company goes, you don't have any water in your fire hydrants. So it's a tough situation.
One can argue that it's designed that way to make things difficult for people to even survive and make it through. Now, continuing on with the main article that we were covering on, of course, from our friends at NBC, as they are going broke. Hey, corporate media going belly up. This is Trump's first presidential trip of his second term. He started today by visiting the hurricane-ravaged North Carolina, which, again, is anything going to be done for those people? The Biden-Harris administration has a lot to answer for, because those people are still living in temporary tents in other refugee areas. People of North Carolina, South Carolina, Georgia, and Florida were hit not by once, but two devastating hurricanes. Biden did his Coca-Cola style traditional value of not doing jack. Ask the people of Lahaina how they're doing, or ask the people of East Palestine how they're doing. It's still the same. Our government has abandoned us, and the people of LA County, well, listen, Trump already in 4 days in his in office. I hope he's able to succeed. I hope he's able to help out people at this point. I mean, that's all I can hope. But hope is the first pass of disappointment. This is what we've been covering here, but this all seems like a design. And for those of you who have been bringing up temporary cities, or use it at 15-minute cities, all I can say is that's a god-awful nightmare. A 15-minute city, we're stuck in our own prison. There are no bars, but you can't leave. You will own nothing, and you will be happy. And if you have any problems or see any disorder, be sure to tell your local commissar, as advised by Commissariat Hans and his deputy Fritz. Continued on, Trump went on to say, you are not forgotten any longer. Trump at each juncture seemed to offer another message for the people of California. The fires, now blazing for weeks, could have been put out, Trump said before departing the White House on Friday. They still haven't for whatever reason. It would be fine if they turned the water on, the president added. Well, if they did turn the water on, that would mean Governor Gavin Newsom and Mayor Karen Bass actually did their job, which they're not doing. Case in point from the previous video that we played in regards to how firefighters are bartering for equipment, or is it at being exposed to dangerous living conditions. So I think having the water reservoirs filled up was the last thing on Gavin Newsom or Karen Bass's mind, because now they have to eat some humble pie as Trump is lecturing and talking down to them, which they deserve. At this point, they truly do deserve it. The reason why things are terrible is because of Gavin Newsom's leadership and of Karen Bass's leadership. They're going to smile and call the firefighters heroes, but why are your heroes being treated like crap? And the residents, the tax-paying residents of LA County, are going to be wondering, what have both of your administrations been doing with our money? The key word they. What happened to every single red cent? Among the advisors accompanying the president on the trip is his chief staff, Susie Wiles, National Security Advisor Mike Waltz, and First Lady Melania Trump. Filing in and out of Air Force One alongside the group is Hollywood producer Brett Ratner, who is directing the Amazon documentary about the First Lady. Other crew members traveled with them. Trump has repeatedly blamed California's Democratic leaders at the state and local level for the persistent blazes, arguing that wildlife protections have impeded access to water. I want to see the water be released and come down into Los Angeles and throughout the state, Trump continued after landing in North Carolina. He later suggested he could withhold disaster aid to California over disagreements over voter ID laws and water policies. Trump, now's not the time to be petty. Now's not the time to be petty. In California, we want them to have voter ID so people have a voice, because right now the people don't have a voice because you don't know who's voting, and it's very corrupt. Well, no duh. Is water wet? Is the sky blue? If they released the water when I told them to, because I told them to do it 7 years ago, if they would have done it, you wouldn't have had the problem. Previewing the visit earlier this week, he promised we're going to take care of Los Angeles. Trump suggested in a Fox News interview taped Wednesday that federal aid to California could be withheld over the state's effort to protect the Delta smelt, a small fish that has become a fixation of Trump's and even the subject of Day One memorandum. The directive, which calls for putting people over fish, would upend the state's water policy. Trump has blamed water shortages in Los Angeles region on policies meant to preserve the endangered fish, arguing more water needs to flow from North California to Southern California. I don't think we should give California anything until they let the water run down. Well, they got to give him something. Newsom has previously slammed Trump's comments about the wildfires, telling NBC News on January 12th that Trump was somehow connecting the Delta smelt to this fire, which is inexcusable because it's inaccurate, also incomprehensible to anyone that understands water policy in the state. Well, Gavin, why aren't the reservoirs filled up? I mean, that's the key thing. Notice how he was dodging and ignoring any kind of real criticism. I mean, we've covered this on the show. Gavin Newsom wants to blame Trump, but Gavin, you're in charge of California. The reservoirs were empty. The reservoirs were empty. One more time. The reservoirs were empty. Democrats, I know you guys hyped up Gavin Newsom as your end-all, be-all guy, but your guy failed terribly. And everything is going to be before him. Politically, it is impossible for somebody like Gavin Newsom to ever recover again in this day and age. And on top of that, too, Mayor Karen Bass. Hey, wrap it up. Sign your resignation. It's over. You failed the people. Speaking to reporters on tarmac in Asheville on Friday, Trump explained that he believed FEMA let the country down and may recommend a new approach to minimize its role and let states take the lead in responding to disasters. He said he would request new aid from Congress, but that rather than going through FEMA, it will go through us. Trump criticized FEMA again during a trip to California, saying the agency is not good anymore. Trump and Newsom, who previously invited him to survey the wildfire damage, has sparred publicly since Trump's first term in office, when California sued his administration dozens of times. Those efforts could quickly ramp up as Trump enacts a raft of hardline immigration orders and deregulatory efforts that are at odds with the wishes of California's Democratic leadership. After Trump won the 2024 election, Newsom said he would again launch a legal... Okay, you know what? Lawsuit. Is this all what you got, Democrats? I mean, you can't beat them on policy, so you're just going to take them to court. Is this it? Is this why things don't get done? I mean, my goodness. I'm just going to throw this out here. Trial by combat. There you go. It's simple. No one has to be going over all the paperwork. Make it happen. It'll work. It'll be simpler. Will it be bloody? Yes. Will it be entertaining? Absolutely. But again, said he would launch a new legal assault on the administration, proposing to raise a war chest of tens of millions of dollars for the fight. Why would anyone be involved in this fight? Trump had previously indicated that his Friday visit to North Carolina, which was hit hard by Hurricane Helene last year, was due in part to politics because those people were treated very badly by Democrats. The destruction of the Palisades on Friday is followed by a trip in Nevada, a state that hasn't been hit by a major natural disaster in recent months. The president departed from Nevada shortly after touring wildfire damage and participating in the roundtable. Politics is also driving the visit. Trump previously said Nevada was included on his trip itinerary so he could thank them for the vote after he won the swing state in November. So what can we take away from this? It's a whole blame game, but there are people who are more responsible. It's easy to go ahead and point the finger at Trump, but Democrats, Mayor Karen Bass, your administration failed the citizens of LA County. The fires are running unchecked. People still can't go home. People's lives are forever ruined. And who knows what's going to happen to their financial future, whether or not they still have a job or not. How many schools have been destroyed? How many community centers, libraries, universities, hospitals, the entire infrastructure of LA County? The damage is severe. Billions of dollars. The insurance companies aren't going to be there, but hey, you know, who's expecting the insurance companies to do that, to do anything at all, especially with the policies that were implemented at the state and at the city level, county level as well. And Gavin Newsom has a lot to answer for. Because during those 4 years, 2020 up until now, 2024, and now in the early 2025, before the transfer of power, all of this was under a Democrat rule. You just can't be blaming Trump for everything. Yes, plenty of time to criticize Trump. I hope he succeeds in making things better, not only on the West Coast, but on the East Coast, so that the people who've been affected and hit hard by these natural disasters are able to recover and get back to some form of normalcy, some form of peace. But the answer is very clear. Neoliberalism, corruption, and abuse of power is running unchecked. And LA County, the damage is still continuous. Even when the fires are gone, even when the firefighters succeed in putting it out, what comes next? What does reconstruction look like? How do you rebuild an area that's going to cost so much money? Is it even worth the investment? That's a question maybe people are asking right now. Is it even worth rebuilding? Is there going to be a mass migration out of California because of California's leadership and its failed policies? How it's treated not only its frontline firefighters, but also the uncertainty that citizens have to go through. Is this who they're voting for? I mean, really, what does it say about the Democrat machine? Now, we all know about the Illinois and the Chicago Democrat machine, but my goodness, California Democrats. Listen. Controversial statement in a 3, 2, 1. Even the Chicago Democrat machine wouldn't screw up this bad. And Chicago's the most #1 corrupt city in America. We're #2 if you add in Washington, D.C. L.A. You know, if you're trying to come after the belt, I think you might have it. Because this is an absolute failure at every point. And now you want to deflect and blame Trump? There'll be plenty of things to blame Trump for, but this ain't it. And that dog doesn't hunt. That being said, folks, that is the evening live stream with all of you tuning in. I understand many of you were not made aware that we went live yet. Some of you are being notified now as we speak. I'm also noticing people here in the chat. Mastermind Hour. Oprah is circling around in a helicopter like a vulture. Of course. It will be rebuilt as a 15-minute city, aka Mega City 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5. I saw your Judge Dredd reference. Well done. Well done on that. Massive BJ, do you ever sleep, Kit? Yes, I do, but the work never ends because I love what I do. And I wasn't expecting 2025 to be filled with so many surprises. And we're only got, 7 more days left in this month? What's going to happen tomorrow? Also, I want to see what else here we got again. Friday night was Kit. Absolutely good to see everybody here. And Pam K36 says, is Kit wearing his pajamas? Folks, sometimes I've got to take it easy. So there you go. Why, yes, I am. Why, yes, I am. First Amendment says Hawaii, Democrat majority 2. Remember that? Absolutely. And Matt says Gavin Newsom had $24 billion to help homelessness, and he has none of it left in his budget. Well, where do you think the money went, Matt? It's the age-old story of corruption and neoliberalism. The story is continuous. Going on even further, I'm seeing more people even comment too about the failure of the entire city of LA County. But as a final note, the reconstruction of California, especially in LA County, the people have been shown by the mayor, the actions of Mayor Karen Bass and Gavin Newsom, that they're on their own. And while I am ever hopeful that maybe our leaders can help us out, history has shown that the only way we're going to get out of this is by doing community aid, local work with each other, helping each other out, community outreach. We have to start building organizations and movements not connected to Washington, D.C., because we are on our own. I got some music by Jett, of course. Jett, who is really awesome. We did get a Rumble rant here from Topher1010, says, from your Kick audience, Kit, suck it DNC. Thank you for the $5. That's right. One less $5 for the Democrats, because the Democrats keep asking me for money. Shout out to my Kick audience. Trans Gemini says, none of it is Trump's fault on Kick. No, it's not his fault. It's not his fault that the reservoirs weren't filled. No, it's not his fault. There will be things to blame Trump for, okay, folks, because it happens in politics. These fires, it ain't one of them. Okay? It's not. And this isn't defending Trump. It's just speaking out facts. You could blame him. Listen, I want him to succeed in the recovery. I hope he does. I hope he's able to pull off some kind of, ace for the people of LA County and also for the people on the East Coast. But it's just, I don't know. I hope it happens. Commercial Herschel, thank you so much for your kind words. We really do appreciate it here at Heartlands Media. Shout out to my colleague Daniel as well. Folks, we are on our own. We are on our own. We are on our own. And shout out, of course, to my ex-people as well watching. But as a final note, we got music by Jett, who is awesome. So, folks, while you are still here, please be sure to hit that like button before you leave. It is becoming clear to me that YouTube isn't notifying my audience when we go live. So, double check you're still subscribed, because I already had a lot of people in the live stream chat tell me that they weren't notified. So we're going to have to fix that. 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 So I think this song is very apropos for what the people of California are going through. This was a song written by Jett in honor for the victims of Lahaina, a devastating wildfire that destroyed so many people's lives. And unfortunately, regrettably, history did the rhythm and rhyme of repeating itself. My name's Kit. This is Heartlands Media. I'll see you guys sharp Monday morning, 9 a.m. Central. Peace, take care, and have a wonderful weekend. And do me a favor, double check you're still subscribed and support us on Patreon if you can. That jackboot of censorship. Gotta love it.
What you're following, that's idolatry, that's just fake. And all that wallowing that you tolerate, that's not faith. The kings of colony watched autonomy make our graves. The kings of colony know no policy, only rape. Now once you fall asleep, it won't bother you what they say. But the kings of colony, while they slaughter, they still complain. We say, please color me, still too solemnly, still too plain. All hail economy, praise the pharmacy, seas in flames. They're buying up Hawaii and the smoke's not even cleared. Those vultures smelled the fire and an enterprise appeared. Investment opportunities where melted down communities leave vacant space BlackRock has been lusting for years. The council meets in private and they don't discuss survivors. Concerns among construction groups are all Lahaina hears. They'll wander through your city with this mocking sword of pity next to Oprah and her camera crew who tore the Trail of Tears, where footage flows as freely as the stream of liquid steel and the pools of pure aluminum that trickle down your wheels. And Biden's here to say he knows exactly how it feels, cause he had a kitchen fire once and had to miss a meal. And people still believe that piece of shit deserves your vote, like he's not why supplies are being smuggled in by boat, like he's not why our citizens were forced to stay and roast. And he can't unfreeze your funding, folks, cause Azov needs it most. I'll bet my every dollar Biden watched it with a smile. I'll bet he knows the whereabouts of every missing child. He's just the kind of man who lives to trample something tribal, collecting culture's corpses just to throw them on the pile. Like he and all his buddies didn't dream about the day when those who dared defy the donor class were cleared away, when home insurance triples and you can't afford to stay, and your land falls to the hands of those whose windfall fan the flames. The state will take Lahaina and they'll bastardize its name, and tourism will swarm it all the same. You see, the state we left Lahaina shows the ground rules of the game, the planes that in the night ignite the planes. And if questions raised that reckon the potential use of lasers, I suggest you take a closer shave by way of Occam's razor. And if those civilians stood between this country and its gains, then there's really nothing further to explain. Because you may know this already, if you truly know our past, but it ain't the first occasion and it will not be the last, where Americans are kettled in and made to bear the blast, are barricaded in and left for ash. How many in Lahaina now are lying there awake and still can hear the city we left leveled in our wake? They still hear all the people that we let the fire take, instructed from above to stay in place. So look to the horizon, cause a fire comes for you. Desire made incarnate of the power-hungry few who instructed the police to not let anybody through, to barricade them in, and so they do.